Folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. So it's February, what is today? It's the 20th or 21st, don't remember, but it's the Sunday after the huge Arctic blast. And it's 48 degrees, I think I saw before I came outside today. And I wanted to come down and check on my beehives. We had 4 days below zero. One morning it was minus 13 degrees and a sustained wind about 10 miles an hour out of the north. And we had about 15 inches of snow, which you can see most of it's melted. So it melted pretty fast. It was a real fluffy snow because it was so bitter cold. We were below freezing for 10 days, I believe it was. And it was not very good weather before that. It was pretty cold and overcast, so the bees hadn't been out much. And then they had to endure those 5-6 days of bitter cold. And I'd put no insulation on my hives or anything. If I'd known it was going to be that bad, I might have put some plywood up to kind of shield the wind off of them. But yesterday I did come down. It was 45 degrees and sunny, but there was a lot more snow. And I saw a few isolated bees flying out, kind of disoriented, and they just boom, hit the snow. And so hey, there was some signs of life anyway. I wouldn't have been surprised if I lost every hive. As cold as it was for so long, it never gets cold like that here, ever, that I can ever remember for that long of a period. We might have a day below zero, but it would be just like one day, and then it would start warming up, and a couple days later we'd be above freezing or like 60 degrees, because that's how Oklahoma does. But we normally have pretty mild winters. So I'm going to get down here and see what they look like today, and I'm going to pop the top on some of them and put some sugar in. I did a weight check on all of them yesterday while they weren't out flying, and the 4 here on the north side were very light, very concerned, and my single deep was very light, and it probably didn't survive, but it's the only single deep I have. So let's walk down here and see what we find. Okay, wow, I see flights. I see a lot of bees flying, which is awesome. I was really worried about these right here. These 4. Man, look at that. Look at it. Look at all these bees. Oh my God. They're just flying like crazy. Unbelievable. Yeah, these hives right here, these 4 don't weigh nothing. Look at that. Man, that's awesome. Every single one of them. Yeah. It's really nice out down here out of the wind. Yeah. Oh, there's bees landed on the camera, landed on me. Yeah, we're glad to see you too. This is awesome. Let's look down here. Oh, I should have turned that fence off. Yeah, Hive 15 is good. Not very many on that one. But look at there, single deep hive. And they are kicking. That single deep hive, I can lift it with one finger. So we got to get some sugar in there, something for them to eat. Yes. Amazing. This one here doesn't look like it's got much going on there. There's a little bit, but there's so many bees flying and orienting that I don't know if those are from that hive. They may be other bees. Hope not. Man, would you look at that? I am ecstatic. You can't tell. Look at that. Number 2. Who does number 2 work for? Number 1. 16 and 17 are good right here. Let's go check on the one over in the woods back over here. And that'll be the last one. That's 100% so far. This it's probably coyote tracks right there. Or raccoon. We have us a few raccoons around here. Oh my goodness. I put out corn for the deer, and raccoons and crows will eat it up before deer ever get there. Okay, here's the last one. I see one bee flying. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're in good shape. I did something really foolish on this hive. Can you tell what it is? What is wrong with this picture? Coming out of an Arctic blast. So it's right here. Some dummy left a liquid feeder on over winter, for crying out loud. So you don't want to do that, because the bees work their way up through the honey and they'll be in this top deep, and you want their heat to stay in that area when they're clustered. If you've got space above them, the heat goes up and it just goes away, and they got to burn more energy to stay warm. So yeah, they survived in spite of me. Wow. I am tickled. Every single beehive had bees coming out of it. There's I don't know what that is. Some kind of a spring. Okay, man, can you believe that? I was so worried. I was freaking out. And man, so a guy I follow on Instagram, and he started a Facebook page, Sweet Stingers. Check that out. The dude is an awesome beekeeper here in Oklahoma, central Oklahoma, and he knows his stuff. He was telling me, it's okay, they'll be all right. Some of the small hives, weaker hives may not make it, but if you got good, strong hives, he said, you'll be okay. And I was like, man, I don't know. I've never seen it this cold for this long. I don't know, man. So anyway, so looks like a bee pooped on my lens. Oh boy. So, okay, let's get up to the barn, and I made some sugar cakes yesterday, and we'll, those hives that are light, they got to get some nutrients in there right away. And also, if I've got some pollen patties left, I need to make some more, get some pollen patties in there, but that may be a later day. This next week's supposed to be really nice, up in the 50s, so in sunshine. So I will put pollen out in my pollen feeders as well, and get some pollen coming in here. They may have lost all their brood, so they got to get the brood building up and get their population built up for when the nectar flow hits. So let's get up to the barn. I got a guy coming in here. I'm going to give him a brood frame. I saw him on Facebook. He said, where do I get some old brood comb? He wants to make a swarm trap. So I told him, hey, come by and I'll get you one. So we may see him here in a little bit. He said he was on his way. Let's get up to the barn, and I'll get those sugar cakes, and we'll get down here and I'll show you how I put them in the hives. Okay, switch cameras here. There's my water tank. More to come on that. So there's bees flying around up in here. That's one of my pollen feeders, so I'll fill that up today. And the other one is down there hanging in a tree. We'll get those filled up. Okay, so back in here's where I work on my bee stuff. So what we got is I made some sugar cakes yesterday, and the way I do it is I'll grab a big bag of sugar like this. I'll put about 2/3 of it in the bucket, and I stir it with a paint stir on a drill, and run your drill in reverse. That way it's kind of pulling it up. That works best. And pour the sugar in there and a little bit of water. So I probably put 2 cups, maybe 2.5, and I had it full of sugar about to here. Mixed it up real good. It needs to be the consistency, so if you squeeze it with your hand, it's going to pack together. And that's just a rule of thumb on mixing that up. And I'll lay it out on a sheet like this and pack it down. Use my spatula to make the little grooves. And the next day, or usually a couple days, it'll be hard like a big sugar cube. And you just scoop it up and you set that on top of your hive. And I got another one over here on a big old cookie sheet that I made. So these are big pieces. They're big as my hand. So there's 8 pieces on there. And we'll get those put on the hives. I don't know if they're going to be hard enough to get out of there. They may break apart because I made them last night, but we need to get them out there. This one's left from last year. So you can also, instead of setting them on top of your frames just like that, I make these sugar feeders. All it is about 1.5 inch spacer, and I put wire down on there to hold it. You don't want the wire that the bees can't get through. It needs to be big enough that the bees can go through. So put a piece of newspaper or a paper towel or something down on here, and fill this up with sugar. That's what this is left from. This was in one of these sugar feeders. So I'll probably take this down there just like that. So you want to, you can't just put this on your hive like that, or these cakes like that. They're probably going to be too thick, and you have to have a spacer to put under your inner cover, you know, like that, so you can get your lid back down. So I got some spacers down there in the old barn. I'll get those out, and we'll get these ready. And I'm going to see if I can get them out of there and get them in this bucket to carry them down. All right, let's see if we can get these out of here without busting them up. Well, that one's sliding. Oh, they're so soft. Yeah. This is not going to work. They need to sit another day. But I need to get them on those bees, but they're not going to work the way they are. Okay, so since I can't get these off, I'm going to take this big block down here that's solid. Man, it's solid. You could hurt somebody with that, but I'm going to put that in one of the hives. And instead of using these right now, I've got those 4 hives plus the single deep that are just super light. So I got to get something in them right away. I don't want to wait for these to get hard. So what I'm going to do is take this sugar here. I'm going to pour it in this bucket, and I'm going to take it down there. And I got me some newspaper. I'll do what's called an emergency feeding, and I'll put that down on the hive on top of this paper. So we'll do that for today. So we still got about, I don't know, probably 10 pounds of sugar in here. So we can start with this, then we'll just lay these little blocks in here later as they get ready. Okay, one more thing I want to do today, because this time of year in central Oklahoma, usually elm trees are blooming with the pollen, and maples, I believe, are blooming as well. So with us just having that below 0 temperatures for all that time, I bet you all of that pollen and stuff is just going to be dried up and shriveled and falling off the trees. So we need to supplement our bees so they have pollen to build their brood and get ready for the nectar flow. Because if they don't have a big, strong population to replace all these old bees that have lived through winter, they're not going to have the bee army to get out there and collect all the pollen and have a good honey harvest. So we want a good, strong hive, you know, mid-March going into May, because that's when the red buds bloom. That's when the big nectar flow hits. So we want to fill these up with pollen substitute. I've got some here in this container, and this is Bee Pro. It's not the ultimate, it's the one below that. It's a little bit less expensive, but bees don't complain. I've not noticed any complaints when I put it out. In fact, there was some left over and from the winter earlier on, and they were out there in the middle of winter going and hitting this, which probably was not a good thing, because you don't want them building brood up when it's really, really cold out, which I don't know if they were or not. Anyway, this really smells good. It's what it looks like. Kind of it's like flour, but it's kind of a yellowish color. So I'm just going to put some of that in these. When you set these out, you want them tilted down a little bit, so any water that gets in them won't get in them. It'll just dribble off the front of it. And I suspect once they get flying good, they will empty these out pretty darn quick. So I'm going to fill it up about a third full. So all this is PVC gutter pipe. It's not the pipe that's for water lines. It's for like sewer type lines, for like to run your gutters in. And you can buy these little end adapters for a gutter to go into this. So if you buy regular PVC pipe, these won't fit. I figured that out. And trust me, I know. Okay, it's filled to about there on both of them. So let's get them out there and hung up. There we go. And if you're going to store this over winter like I have, don't leave it in the bag, because it'll just attract moisture and it'll attract pests. I'm pretty sure that moths are attracted to this, so they'll get in there and lay their eggs and ruin it. So keep it sealed up. Okay, let's get out there and get them put in place. See some of this old caked up stuff that was in there. It's kind of moldy. This came off out of here. I shook it out. I'll crumble it up. They'll probably take a lot of that. So I just keep this one here on this shelf, and there's a little piece of pottery behind it, so it's aimed down so water can't work its way in there. Okay, this one I just hang with some electric fence wire. So again, you want it tilted downwards so water can't go inside of it. There we go. This beehive here was so excited when they came out. They made a snowman. Look at that. Can you believe that? Okay, went to the old barn over there, and I got me 4 shims, and I got me 2 feeders that have the wire in the bottom of those, and also has a aeration hole so air can flow in and out, and which is real important when you put all that sugar on top. You need to be able to have airflow through there. So I'm going to put the ones with the wire on them over here on the single deep, and another one actually I found that had sugar still in it in the barn left from last year, and I'm going to put that on the hive over there in the woods. So for now, let's get started on these right here. These are the 4 that didn't weigh much at all, And I'll go back down the line and check these other 3, but I'm pretty sure these 4 were very, very light, so they are in danger of starvation. So we'll start here. Okay, here we go. First hive opening in 2021. We'll see what we get here. So I'm lifting this hive with 2 fingers. It doesn't weigh much. Not only is it light, the corner's kind of busted here, and there's the bees can go in and out in this little corner back here. So this is north, by the way. So that cold north wind was hitting this hive head on. It had no protection. Went ahead and put my bee suit on since there's so many flying. Man, look at the bees up here. I don't want to shake them. I just want to get in and out of here as quick as possible. I don't have a smoker. Just going to get these bees some emergency food. So before I get that completely off, I'm going to get my newspaper ready. Okay, that's all you need. Looks like I got the obituaries. Now again, I don't want to shake bees down. I don't want to mess with them. We'll get in and out. That's a good cluster of bees. Look at them. They're mainly right in here. Wouldn't expect them to see them on this north side, but they're all over here. So I'll lay this on here. Kind of do this so they'll get down off of there so I don't squish very many. So they'll go down in the cracks. Now they'll eat through this paper. In fact, I may put a few little cuts in it between the frames, give them a little help. I believe this is called the mountain camp method. So this is granulated sugar right out of the bag. Now their moisture will kind of make that sugar stick to itself. Got our spacer here. Get our inner cover back on. I am happy to see that large of a population in this hive on the far north side. Can you imagine getting hit with minus 13 degrees with 10-mile-an-hour wind for 3 days? Bees are tough. Okay, so they're set for probably a week, depending on how much they fly and get out. They may go through that faster. Let's get over here. Couldn't find my hive tools. All I found was these old ones. My good ones are gone somewhere. Can't remember what I did with them. Same thing, got bees. They're a little grumpy. Of course, I'd be grumpy too. Yeah, they don't like that. So move slow. So you can see, majority of the bees are right there. Let me move that bucket. Get that shadow off of there. So you can see, majority of the bees are right here. They don't like that north side at all. Let's get them some sugar. Boy, it is a mucky mess. Got my rubber muck boots on. There we go. This one's a little more cheery. It's the funny pages. Again, I'm just kind of rubbing this so the bees will retreat. I need some smoke, really. See how they went down? Because if you just threw it on there and poured sugar on it, you would trap them in there and kill some of them. This way it doesn't do that. And I forgot to put the little slits in there on this one, but that's okay. They'll work their way through. I guess I could probably do a few if I can find the cracks. And right about there. Yeah. That'll get them started. And add the shim. When you got bees up here on the sides, and you can't get them off, or you don't have your smoker like I do, put your whatever, your box or whatever you're putting on at an angle like that. Don't line it up straight, and rotate it on. That way you scoot the bees off and you don't smash them. Okay, we are good here. Same thing on this one. I'll just kind of put it a little crooked. Most of the bees are back here on this backboard, so I'll just kind of slide them right off and they'll fall right to the inside. Right back going. Good to go. Now this hive here doesn't have near the activity that those other two did. So this one may be in trouble. We'll see what we find. Doesn't appear from the entrance anyway to be near as strong. Well, there's a few bees. Yeah, when I pop this with this little tool, the whole thing moves. It don't weigh anything. It feels like an empty box that you just bought at the store. Boy, they get an A+ for propolis. Man. Well, it doesn't look bad. It looks just as strong as those others. Again, all the bees are over on this side. Let's see. Do we give them BC or the crossword puzzle? Let's make some intelligent bees. We'll give them the crossword puzzle. They can work on that in their spare bee time. Has some sugar, ladies. Now this isn't something I normally do every year. I will go out and find the hives that don't weigh much, and usually I might have, you know, 2 or 3, but seems like these 4 right here and maybe 1 down there need this. So this is to sustain them until the nectar flow, because they're out. They are out of food. And the easy way to tell that is grab your hive on the back side and lift it, and it should feel like you're lifting I'd say at least 40 pounds on the back. Well, maybe not coming out of winter, maybe 25 or 30 pounds, but it should have some weight to it. If it feels like you're lifting empty boxes, you've got a problem. And if you don't feed them, they'll do okay for a while, but eventually they will run out of honey. And there's no honey out there, no nectar right now for them to survive on. So they would starve. Okay, one more in this spot. Man, look at all these bees. This is awesome. Now inside these hives, we're going to have to go in them later. This isn't a set it and forget it deal. There may be masses of dead bees in here that died off, and we're going to have to go in there and clean that up, because it'll get to rotting and smelling. It'll get maggots in it, actually. I've had that happen. These are more in the middle. Okay, I'm feeling a burr comb underneath that. It's not bees. Okay. You can make these shims out of just some old scrap lumber one buys, and I don't make fancy joints on them because they're not intended to be out here for long times. I just do butt joints, just butt them up and use a nail gun and pop them together. I do use wood glue though. Some good waterproof Type Bond 3. And if you don't beat on them, you know, they'll last a long time. Let's get over to the single deep and I'll finish up there, and then we'll conclude this video. Okay, my camera stopped recording and I don't know how far it got. This hive, it had a lot of bees in it, and they were mostly on the right side. I put the big block of sugar in there that I had left over on a wire feeder It has a piece of wire in the bottom and the spacer. So I use those for putting on hives and one big chunk of sugar. So I just set that on top of there, and I gave them some granulated sugar. But if you made it this far to the end, I really appreciate it. This is going to be a fun 2021. I've ordered some queens from Wildflower Meadows. It's supposed to be here, I think, in April sometime. So I'm going to do some splits then and get my hives built up. So I had trouble in 2020 with my hives requeening. You notice I got a lot of vacant spots around where I would have a queen emerge. They'd go out to mate and they would never return. Don't know what the deal was. So anyway, I've got 6 queens coming in, and man, I was really worried I was going to have these queens coming and no bees with this cold snap, but luckily they did well. I am really surprised and really thankful that they did. Every hive seems to be doing good. This is going to take care of these lightweight hives, and we'll go through and check them again on nice days. There may be hives here that have clumps of dead bees in them, and those bees will start rotting, and you got to get those out of there. So that's another thing we've got to do with this cold weather. So that's one of the things that you need to do going into the spring. You know, make sure your hives are cleaned out, and we'll start rotating the bodies at some point too. That'll be next month. But anyway, hey, give me a thumbs up on the video. I appreciate y'all subscribing and sticking with me all this time. And we'll be putting out more videos in 2021. Y'all stay safe and take care.